This new woodworking jig is incredible. I'm going to use it to make tapered staves to make this wooden Mocha Pot, which would normally be very difficult, but this new invention makes it really easy. Check it.
Today's video is brought to us by Squarespace.
I picked up some walnut from my friends at KenCraft, resawed it and planed it down into some thinner boards. Now we're here at the table saw and I want to try to recreate this classic iconic Mocha Pot. This has 8 sides and it tapers down. Splayed miters is very complicated at the table saw. The angle at the top is actually different than the angle at the bottom. It takes some very complicated trigonometry to figure out what to set your blade angle and your miter gauge. So this guy, Kurt, has an entire 25-minute video on the math involved in it. It will melt your brain, but go check that out. And Matthias Wandel has a great lookup table if you know how many sides you have and the angle that you want. This guy Matt invented this crazy jig that figures out all of the angles for you. He had an Indiegogo campaign that I backed, and so I now have the jig. I purchased this. This is not sponsored, and I want to show you how this crazy jig works. This jig has an index pin with a corresponding hole depending on the number of sides that you have, and then the pin rides in this little V groove. So we have 8 sides, so I will stick it in the 8 hole. So once you have that pin in there, it determines this angle of the jig. Once we get that set, then we can determine our taper angle. So it has this cam lock here, and if I want a large taper, I can move this up here, lock that down. If I want a small taper, I can move that and lock it down. So to set this angle, I'm just going to eyeball it here. That's going to be good enough for today's project. And then lock that down. We have our number of sides set, we have our taper angle set, so now we're going to set the miter gauge. It has a little level on here, and I want to get that bubble right in the middle, and then lock that down. Then I'm going to take the back end of the jig, butt it up against my fence, and then I can set my miter angle to this arm right here. We've got the miter gauge set, so now we're going to set our blade angle. That little arm that we use for the miter gauge is also at an angle, and I can use that to set the blade angle. So I got my blade all the way up, move that until it is perfect. This might seem a little overwhelming for setting up this jig, but once you do it one time, you're good to go. I was a little worried, am I gonna have to watch a video every single time I wanna use this jig? But once you do it once, it totally clicks in your brain and makes sense. Now it's time to glue this up. The inventor of the jig likes to do this little trick where he cuts little grooves on the outside of all the pieces. That way when he gets them together, he can just put a rubber band around them and then turn them on the lathe. I am going to use CA glue. This is the Gorilla Super Glue, and it's gonna dry really fast. I'm also gonna put a little dab of wood glue on there for strength. I like to do this in two halves. That way, if the angles aren't perfect, I can sand this flush. It's a cool wood turner's trick. I either got lucky or my setup was dead on because they go together perfectly. CA glue, is that California glue? I don't know why, but that makes me so happy. While we are finishing up this Mocha Pot, I'd like to tell you about today's sponsor, and that is Squarespace. With Squarespace, you can make a website fast with no website experience at all. If you know how to browse the internet, you already know how to use Squarespace. They have a ton of beautiful award-winning templates to get you started, and they have 24/7 customer support. You got a question while building your website? Hit them up. With Squarespace, you can create a store, you can sell your products, you can create a gallery of your woodworking portfolio, and you could even start a podcast if you want to. Everybody's got a podcast these days. Even I got one. I have been using Squarespace for years, long before they were a sponsor. I'm actually on the third look of my website. If you want to change templates, it's as simple as clicking a button. You want to change some colors? It's easy. Visit squarespace.com, and when you're ready to launch, visit squarespace.com/makesomething for 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Thank you, Squarespace, for making these videos possible. Now let's get back to this crazy project. Over on Patreon, I'll talk about the finish that I use on this and why I think this is not going to blow apart with seasonal expansion and contraction. I have a link to this jig down below. Like I said, this is not sponsored, and this exceeded my expectations. I will be using this a lot in the future, especially for some lathe turning projects. That's gonna wrap it up. As always, be safe, have fun, stay passionate, and make something.